Our scripture this morning comes from the Gospel of Luke. It is a well-known parable, the parable of the prodigal son. It's from Luke 15, and it says this. Then Jesus said, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, 'Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me.' So the father divided his property between his sons. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When the younger son had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to the fields to feed his pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, the younger son said, 'How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So the younger son set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around his younger son and kissed him. And then the son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his slaves, 'Quick, bring out a robe, the best one. Put it on him and put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it. Let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now is found.' And they began to celebrate. But the oldest son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves over and asked what was going on. The slave said, 'Your little brother's come home, and your father has killed the fatted calf, because he got his son back safe and sound.' But the older son became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him. But he answered his father, 'Listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you, and you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours comes back, who devoured your property, you killed the fatted calf for him.' Then the father said to him, 'Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. We had to celebrate and rejoice because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found.'" This is the word of God for the people of God. Now, the Bible has lots of famous stories about siblings. You probably know some of them, and maybe you realize that there tends to be a theme in sibling stories in the Bible. We start with the first pair of siblings, Cain and Abel. Of course, we remember what happened. Cain kills his brother Abel. And then there's Ishmael and Isaac, the sons of Abraham by 2 different women, who become the leaders of 2 rather contentious groups of people. And then there's the story of Isaac's twin sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob steals Esau's birthright, and then the 2 of them live in conflict for many, many years, wanting to kill one another. And then there's the story of Joseph and his many brothers, who pretend that he got killed and sell him into slavery in Egypt. And then Joseph, who surprises his brothers as this leader by tricking them into thinking he was going to kill their youngest sibling. And then there's the story of Moses and his brother Aaron, along with their sister Miriam, who led the Israelites out of the Promised Land. And some not so good things happened on that journey. And then we have the story of Mary and Martha, one who worked while the other one talked. The story of Simon and Andrew, who were brothers and left their nets and their father's fishing business to go follow Jesus. And then, of course, we have this beautiful parable of the prodigal son. Siblings in the Bible set us up for so many interesting conversations. Now, I imagine that most of you have a character that you easily identify with in this parable. Most of us probably want to be the loving and merciful father, but truth be told, I imagine that most of us would react much like the older brother. irritated and annoyed that once again his baby brother is getting away with it. Or maybe you find yourself longing to be like the youngest son, desperately wanting a second chance and wanting to return home. So to gauge who I'm talking to this morning, we're going to do a little exercise. Choir, I expect participation. If you are an only child, please raise your hand. Yes. If you are an oldest child, please raise your hand. If you're a youngest child, raise your hand. You see, sibling sets have a lot of things to sorry, if you're a middle child, me too, we're always forgotten. Always. I see you. I am one of you. You see, birth order says a lot about who you are. There was an NPR interview about birth order with Shankar Vedantam, and he said this: a number of studies have looked into birth order, and they found that firstborns often do better than secondborns on many fronts. Everything from educational attainment to test scores, IQs, wages, even labor market outcomes. Oh, there's more. MIT economist Joseph Doyle also did a study that looked at the differences between older brothers and younger brothers, and he said this: I find the results to be remarkable that the second-born children, when compared to their older siblings, are much more likely to end up in prison. Much more likely to be suspended in school, and much more likely to enter juvenile delinquency. Across all these outcomes, we're getting 25 to 40% increases in the likelihood of these outcomes just by comparing a second-born sibling to a first-born sibling. As a second-born, I'm not particularly thrilled with this data. Not at all. I'm not overly excited that something that I had no control in, no vote on, can impact my life so profoundly. So, to be fair, this is a rather controversial study. For every example that supports this claim, there's an example that disproves it. Martin Luther King Jr., second-born. 52% of United States presidents, middle children. Susan B. Anthony, also a second-born. So while these stereotypes and characteristics associated with our birth order are well known, they are not the final say. Now, I imagine that for most everyone that grew up with siblings or other children in the family, or maybe even nearby cousins, it seemed like you were treated differently than the other siblings or kids. Or maybe it seemed like punishments were unfair. One child, the youngest usually, was spoiled and got away with everything. And then the middle child was neglected. Yeah, amen, sister. And then the middle child was left to fend for herself or himself, just forced to go along with the flow at the whim of both older and younger siblings and their needs. And then those four oldest siblings, they seem like they have it so bad, saying they were always held to impossibly high standards and always had to be a good example. It's not always pleasant to think about these circumstances, and to think about circumstances outside of our control, boxing us into statistics. But it is clear that most of us have feelings about our sibling dynamics, or our lack thereof. Most of us can easily identify with other people who have a birth order like ours. And while some of us may be anomalies in the stereotypes of birth orders, we are all influenced by our families. For better or for worse, our familial experiences shape us. They shape how we think and act. They shape how we speak and communicate. They shape how we react to the circumstances of life. For example, my family of origin, the Kindles. We have some rather peculiar habits that I did not think were weird until I moved out of my parents' house. For example, the question my dad would pose: hey guys, I'm going to the store to get G-Dunk and Hoagie Bake. What do you want? Can anybody answer that question? You see, G-Dunk and Hoagie Bake is how my grandpa says junk food, which is therefore how my dad says junk food, which is also how I say junk food. Apparently that's not normal. You see, the Kindings also have have this problem. We yell all the time. When we're happy, when we're sad, when we're excited, scared, even when we need to be quiet, we're pretty loud. I know that's surprising to you, very quiet. But the Kindigs are yellers. Watching a movie with my family is an exercise in patience because they talk the whole time. Not just whispers, but yelling. We're also not super great at keeping schedules for meals. Often we just eat one meal. We'll eat a really big dinner and that's it. No breakfast, no lunch, because who has time for that? It's not normal, I didn't know. We're also a highly competitive group of people. We're perfectionists, and every single thing that we do needs to be criticized. It's an essential part of family meals and gatherings. I don't think any of us have ever eaten a meal that couldn't be better. It drives some people nuts, but it's who I am, and I am who I am because of them and because of the way this group of people shaped me and formed me. And it's how I see and interact with the world. Now, like me, you are all conglomerations of behaviors and opinions shaped by the people that you live with. Whether it's birth family, adopted family, family of choice, a group of friends who act like family, we are all a product of the people around us. Now, perhaps we've shed some of the rougher parts and taken on some new ways of doing things, but we are much like our families, for better or for worse. Families shape us. And I highly doubt that the prodigal son and his family were any different. Jesus uses this parable of two brothers and a father, and clearly it's an easy reference for his audience. I suspect that there were some similarities to how we see birth order and the ways that they were understood in Jesus' time. And so today I want to think about how we use and understand the word prodigal. You may have noticed that Jesus doesn't actually use this word when he's teaching the parable. In fact, it's the title given to this parable by the gospel writer. So what if we've been reading it incorrectly? What if it's not really the parable of the prodigal son? You see, prodigal can mean more than one thing. We can understand it in two different ways. Spending money or resources freely and recklessly, wastefully, extravagantly spending. Or we can understand it as having or giving something on a lavish scale. You see, this parable has more than one prodigal character. Yes, there is a prodigal son who wastes what he is given, but there is also a prodigal father who gives lavishly to his children. We don't have to box prodigal into a negative view. I mean, after all, don't we want to have a prodigal God? One who gives and gives and gives, lavishing on us time and time again love and grace and opportunities. So consider this parable again, but as a story of a prodigal father. I bet the prodigal father knew his sons, and I bet that though the father was surprised by his son's request, he had an idea of how it would work out. So when his younger son comes to him and asks for his inheritance, I bet the father knew how the story was going to play out. He worked hard to provide for his children, and everything that he had would be his son's. So he divides up his assets between his children, and his younger son takes off. The younger son rejects home and his family. The younger son rejects his land and leaves to spend time in a new place with new people. The father knew his older son would be reluctant to spend any of his inheritance. And during the time the younger brother was off spending his inheritance on unsavory things, the older son was at home, working and obeying his father. And when his little brother returns, the older son asks one of the servants what all the commotion is. And the servant tells the older son, "Your father's celebrating the return of your little brother. He killed the fatted calf. We're having a feast." The older brother is filled with jealousy, anger, resentment. He refuses to go in. But the father pleads with him. The older son is so astounded by his father's reaction to his wasteful little brother that he says, "Listen, Dad, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you. And yet you've never even given me a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But this son of yours, it's not even his little brother. This son of yours who's devoured your property with reckless spending comes home and can kill them. But this is the hard part of the parable. The father says, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours." You see, we had to celebrate because your brother, we thought he was dead, but he's not. He's no longer lost. He has been found. Can you hear the father pleading with this firstborn? "Son, your brother has returned home. We have to celebrate. I thought that he was dead, but he's alive. And what's more, son, all that I have is yours. Everything I have is yours. I've given you all that I can offer. All that is mine is yours." This isn't just a poetic way to say that the father will care for his son, but a literal statement. Remember the beginning of the story? The father split up the inheritance between both of his sons. All that is mine is yours now. All the father had has been given to his children. And now the father was dependent upon his sons to survive. Normally you don't get an inheritance until after your father has died. But this prodigal father lavishes on his sons now. All that he has is his sons. The older son could do whatever he pleased, whenever he wanted to. He did not need his father's permission to have a party with his friends. The older son did not need permission to spend any of the money. He did not need his father's approval. The younger son wasted what was given to him. But the older brother had to share too. The older son's work was for him, no longer for his father. All that is mine is yours, son. Don't you get it? I gave it to you years ago. I gave it to you and you're still living as though it is not yours. Son, it's yours. How else can I help you understand? The father divided what he had between them. He did so freely, maybe even happily. He gave no stipulations on how the money could be spent. He divided what he had between both of them. Instantly. How often do we want things instantly? How often do we want what we want when we want it? And when we want it is now. And yet God has already given everything to us. All that God has to offer, all God's love, all God's grace, all the ability to make decisions for ourselves. God lavishly gives to us grace and possibility and opportunity. God lavishes love and invitation to us again and again. And at times, we take what God has given to us and waste it on meaningless things. We waste our energy and our life on being angry. Or we waste our time living in fear that there will not be enough. Or we waste the precious gift of life living in apathy. And yet God gives to us life and time and hopes and dreams. God gives to us free will to make choices about how we will spend and live our lives. God lavishes grace and love upon us. So now, of course, because we're in the midst of stewardship, I want you to think about the things that you have, to think about your possessions. Think about the things that you have as a result of your hard work and education and privilege and status. Think of the things that you have earned and the things that you have not. There are many people in this community who have more than they need, more than others could ever possibly imagine. There are those in this congregation who take for granted how simply they pay for housing and health care and food and bills, how easy it is to go to the store and get whatever it is that they need. And there are those in this congregation who are looking for work. Savings, if they had any, are dwindling down. There are those living paycheck to paycheck, doing all they can to make ends meet. There are those in this congregation who have to make hard decisions about how to spend what little money they have. Will it be food or rent? Bills or medicine? Will I buy new shoes for my child? Or will I make sure the lights stay on for a few more weeks? They have deferred health care because it's too expensive to go to the doctor. Other things are more important. And yet, how many of us waste our money on trinkets, on $4 cups of coffee? How many of us are prodigal in spending hundreds of dollars a year to watch football games? How many of us are prodigal in our spending except when it comes to the church? It's easy to lavish our money on all sorts of things, but it's hard to be prodigal when it comes to the church. Now, this isn't about shame or guilt or coercion or manipulation. This is about opening ourselves up to the realities of those around us. We as a church are called to be prodigal, to lavish upon the people around us love and care and assistance and welcome. We are a place where the lost can come home. We are a place where the lost can be welcomed and fed, where they're given the best robe, where sandals are put on their feet and a ring is put on their finger. A place where people can be fed not just what is cheap and easy, but the fatted calf. We don't always like talking about money because it's uncomfortable, and a lot of us feel like we've earned what we have, and we shouldn't be responsible for people who take no responsibility for themselves. But we are called to be prodigal. Remember, the prodigal son didn't earn his inheritance. And when he came home, his father didn't lecture him on his spending habits. He didn't tell him that he needed to work off his debt in the field. He didn't tell his son to turn around and go elsewhere. He ran out to him in the field. He rejoiced because his son who was lost had come home. God is like that prodigal father, waiting for us to come home, running to meet us halfway, waiting for us to spend our time and our energy on what matters. God is not scolding us, but welcoming us back, preparing a feast for us, overjoyed that we are no longer lost. The son thought of home, thought of what it was like to be his father's son. He thought about what it meant to be loved unconditionally, to go to a place where he was welcome to be who he was. Do you know what it's like to go home? Is this place your home? Who are the people who are your family? Not just the people that you're related to, but the people you choose to share life's sacred moments with. Think of the activities that we do with our families, how they form the memories that help create and establish our identities, for better and for worse. How do you answer the question, who are you? Are you the child of God, free to come home, welcomed with grace and second chances? And when you think of the place that you long to go home to, what do you think about? What are the most cherished memories of your family, however it is that you define family? Who was there for you when you faced your hardest days? Who did you want to share life's greatest joys with? How many of your most treasured and cherished memories and experiences took place in a sanctuary, in a church, or with a community of faith, your church family? Mission trips and vacation Bible school, retreats, choir tours, Sunday school, weddings, funerals, baptisms, Christmases, Easters, Palm Sundays, Sundays of worship. This is our home. This community, the people sitting around us, they are our family. And we can be like the prodigal father and lavish our gifts upon this community. Lavish upon these people in this place our time and resources. Or we can be like the older brother, scared to spend what has been given to us freely, filled with resentment, longing for the fatted calf that the Father has already given to him. We can be like the youngest son, wasting what we have on things that will only temporarily satisfy us. What we have is God's, and how we utilize it is up to us. We are given free will, and we are encouraged towards generosity through the teaching and acts and life of Jesus Christ. The prodigal son had a prodigal father. and we too are called to be a prodigal people. Will you pray with me? Holy and loving God, we long to be welcomed home. We long to run into your open arms. We are your prodigal children, longing to lavish our goods and resources the ways that you do. Help us to be generous with all we have. Help us to choose grace and love. Help us to give of ourselves with wild abandon. You lavish your grace to us. May we be your hands and feet for the world.